Hey guys, welcome back. I hope that you had a good week so far and that things are going to be looking up for the weekend. I know where I am, we're actually kind of going through like the bands of a storm right now. It's passing us by, but we're still getting rain from it. So I hope you guys are basically dry and safe and that anybody that might be impacted by that storm, keeps an eye on it, stays safe, all that good stuff. So, that said, I am bringing you something a little bit different this week. It is my original characters. I've been talking about doing something with them for quite some time, but I've never really pulled the trigger and done it. I have this problem where in my head I know what they look like, but I can't put it down on paper and be satisfied with it. So, I actually ended up doing this with my characters Ben and Mick. Ben is the one with the mushrooms stuffed in his face, and Mick is the one trying to figure out what they are before he even touches them. One of them is much more smarter than the other, so I had a lot of fun starting to explore these guys, and it's partly because they're not, I guess, canon for the world and the books that I've written them in previously. Everything I've ever written them with, they've been older. They've been adults. They've already had a very solid relationship, and they're best friends even then. So it's kind of fun to put them very much into a sci-fi world as opposed to a more fantasy world. It's also really fun to see how they would probably be interacting as kids, because I've never explored that aspect before. Ben, I know how he was as a child. He has anger issues. He is very outspoken. He has no filter. And then you have Mick, who's much more laid back. He'll do anything for his friends, so he's very loyal. But there's also a point where, with someone like Ben, you've got to kind of rein him in because he'll go along with almost anything, but there's a point where he has to act as this kid's conscience or they're going to get in a ton of trouble. So it's really interesting seeing this dynamic play out and seeing it kind of evolve because in the very first picture I ever drew with them, which you will see at the end of this video, is the one that inspired me to keep going and keep creating with these two. It's just interesting to see how they go from, Mick being a total pushover to Mick having to kind of save the day constantly. But I do love drawing Ben because Ben, he gets them into ridiculous situations and he's the sort that will have all of the crazy expressions, all of the crazy postures that help sell a story. Even though I'm not writing, I want these images to tell a story. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason I do this, is because I want to convey something. I want it to be convincing, and I want you guys to be able to look at it and kind of go, okay, I can see what she's going for, but how did it get to this point? Like, what were they doing that they have these bioluminescent mushrooms and this kid decided to just start stuffing them in his face? I love the idea that there's more wonder to it, that there is a story being told, but there's the need to know more. So that's the reason I've really started enjoying these two. And it was kind of a prompt from a community challenge. I'm trying to get more involved in the art community. I'm trying to do more posts and kind of get more involved and support other people that are also just starting out and just get kind of more familiar with other people's work. This is actually something that I stumbled into because of another artist, and the prompt is based on July-fi sci-fi. So it's a sci-fi based prompt word of the day kind of thing where it's all sci-fi or it's fan art of something or it's like, you're making your own story throughout the month. So that really stood out to me, and the community there is so involved and so supportive that I really wanted to start getting involved and kind of participating. And I figured, who better than these two? After the very first picture I drew, I was hooked and I was like, okay, these two are perfect for this entire month. So I'm trying to kind of keep up with that, and I figured the prompt word for this day was glow. Okay, well, you know, clearly there's some glow going on. And then the next days was duo. And I'm like, okay, how is this? This is perfect. So I knew I had to do a picture for both prompts. And I really wanted to start pushing myself with these alcohol markers that I'm using. I really want to start getting a kind of a better grasp on lighting, on layering, and I really want to start putting more effort into coloring my pieces because I think it just brings something more to it. Instead of just being comfortable with black and white, I really want to push myself and do more with color. And I learned a really big lesson with this piece, and I don't want to settle too much on it because I am really proud of how this came out. But as you can tell from my thumbnail, I learned very quickly that planning is extremely important. When you're learning, when you're just starting out with coloring, it has come to my attention the hardest way possible that I need to pre-plan this stuff. I knew how Ben and Mick were going to look because the characters themselves wear uniforms, and I knew how I wanted to do the mushrooms because I really wanted to punch that glowing effect. I had this idea that I wanted Ben and Mick to be the darkest things on this planet and clearly foreign, but that was all I knew. And I just started kind of throwing down colors that I thought would look good. And before I knew it, the entire image kind of darkened, and it wasn't in a bad way necessarily, but it took away from the effect that I was hoping for. And after I had colored in the sky for the planets and put them next to the darkened mushrooms, I started scrambling. I was just throwing down the brightest colors I could find to really try and brighten the image, which made everything else look darker by contrast. So I learned a lot about how to color, how to plan my colors in the future to really get the effects I'm going for. Overall, I do love this image. I really love the line art for it. And I just wanted to share the fact that there is an important lesson here for others as well. I learned the hard way, and I'm sure other people have as well, but that's the point of sketching and learning. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'm hoping to bring you something next week that's maybe a little better coordinated. So everybody stay safe, and I'll see you then.